Bonjour mes amis, my name is Freya, and today we're going to be redesigning Springtrap, but I know most of my subscribers aren't overly familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline, so if you don't mind, I'm going to briefly explain who and what Springtrap is, as well as why I think he needs to be redesigned. Five Nights at Freddy's is, at its core, a ghost story. A serial killer named William Afton murders several children, and so now Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is haunted. At some point in the story, he's confronted by the souls of the dead children, and they scare him into putting on one of the animatronic suits in an attempt to get away from them. However, as there's a leak in the ceiling getting moisture under the spring locks, all of the animatronic devices that are a part of the suit come undone, trapping him inside and causing him to bleed to death in a very, very gruesome way. Springtrap is the reanimated body of William Afton, dug up 30 years later for use in a horror attraction. I can talk all day about how I think the William Afton character is flat and uninteresting, but that's a discussion for a different video. This is specifically about visual design. Now, why does he need to be redesigned? For starters, the inconsistency of the design has always bothered me. There's actually 3 iterations of Springtrap that are meant to be the same entity at varying stages of decay. There's Springtrap, who we all know and hate, Scraptrap, and finally Burntrap. These are in chronological order, but as you can clearly see, their decay patterns are completely different. None of them have holes in the same places. Scraptrap is missing a forearm, whereas Burntrap somehow isn't. Plus, their proportions vary quite wildly. Of these 3, I decided to use Springtrap as a starting point for no other reason than nostalgia. The other problem is the depressing lack of anatomical accuracy. Now, I'm an artist, I understand stylization to a degree. I don't need everything to be photorealistic in order to enjoy it. However, I think the most important part when stylizing something for artistic reasons is to make sure you are clearly communicating the idea you want to convey. Springtrap does not do this for me. For one thing, the weird fleshy head you see through the suit looks structurally more like the mechanical endoskeletons than it does a human corpse. When you remove the head of the suit, it still looks less like a human skull with flesh on it and more like a papier-mâché job gone wrong. And, most egregiously, the skeleton inside is actually a mechanical endoskeleton, and instead of having the remains of a human body in there, we just have what is presumed to be entrails, strewn about and covering the mechanical parts like beef jerky. For these reasons, when the 3rd game came out, I genuinely believed Springtrap was just the result of the horror attraction people putting papier-mâché on an endoskeleton for the spook factor. Left in a damp room for 30 years, human remains would certainly not have any flesh, so for my redesign I'm going to be removing Springtrap's entrails and endoskeleton and replacing them with a more human-looking skeleton. Let's get started!
Hello. For today's lesson we will be continuing our training on proper suit handling techniques. When using an animatronic as a suit, please ensure that the animatronic parts are tightly compressed and fastened by the spring locks located around the inside of the suit. It may take a few moments to position your head and torso between these parts in a manner where you can move and speak. Try not to nudge or press against any of the spring locks inside the suit. Do not touch the spring locks at any time. Do not breathe on the spring locks, as moisture may loosen them and cause them to break loose. In the case that the spring locks come loose while you are wearing a suit, please try to maneuver away from populated areas before bleeding out, as to not ruin the customer experience. As always, if there is ever an emergency, please go to the designated safe room. Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed into the animatronics or security system. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera. As always, remember to smile. You are the face